one
up
over
next,
300, didn't we?
we'll go on to the West
So
Conference.
that's the East
Happy
Division.
Valley.
That's East Division now done. Looked at, Johnny, and we're into Division 1 in the West, Happy Valley.
Have I put the
Looking
wrong
to
team up? I have as well. I did the wrong video for the wrong team. I forgot, never noticed Gothenburg Angels 287.52. Now that's bloodkin
what he
pretty
did.
good
Geez,
for
allure.
Gats. Up against the Capital
There you
Cowboys,
go. Then you better
192.54.
you
I'll
you
take it
got
if
an
need it.
apology, but
So
yeah, what a score that is.
sorry, Gats or Gerard. The Bognor Regis Falcons 213.17, 177.89 for UFO winners. South London Rebels going 2-0 with 195.9, 154.88 for Everett. Kirkwall Raiders lose their first one, 169.94 up against the Melbourne Supremacy, 189.36. The Darlow Destroyers 226.53 against 189.32 Birmingham Cowboys. And Aaron's 2-0. Royal Raiders 212 to 111 against the Whitford Educators 158.96. And he's top by the looks of it. So we'll go over that one, and I'm going to go take that one
Another
off.
good week. Another very good week for Aaron, but they 287 points for the Gothenburg Angels again. I mean, they were flying last year as well, so another great start to the season. And I mean, I didn't see any of the Eagles games, so I can't overly comment on how good or bad Hurts looked, but that seems to be a lot of points for a team that lost to the Atlanta Falcons. So he's done them fine, he's done them okay here. I mean, I would imagine that as we look down this, there'll be no failures, but let's go for it anyway. We've got Cook, we've got Kamara, boom, boom.
Yeah, Thomas, Alavi, Ridley,
I mean,
Fryermuth,
Thomas was,
Stevenson.
it was like, it wasn't a whole lot of catches for Thomas, but their Ridley's came bouncing back. Fryermuth had a good game for him. Stevenson, Gus the Boss. I mean, okay,
8 points, yeah.
there's the one letdown, isn't it? Yeah, everyone's got to have one.
Yeah.
And the defenders knocked out of the park as well, and of course his kicker's getting 20, what was that, 22 points. So yeah, massive week for the Gothenburg Angels, and they're off to an absolutely brilliant start. And as I
Came
look
up
up
with
and down
Ross.
that team, correct me if I'm wrong, but I didn't see anyone who's even thinking about injury
Uh,
in the starting lineup.
no,
So,
in the starting lineup,
I
there's a
wouldn't
couple
want
in
to
the
be running
bench.
in.
Yeah, you
I
got to
wouldn't
run
want to
that
be
team
running
again.
into the
So,
Gothenburg Angels next week. That's for sure.
yeah.
And poor Alan just ran into a big score. It's
No,
what did he
this
have?
is
197. So
this is Ross Herkelson. Ross
just
from
Ross's team.
Showman
Sorry,
United.
yeah.
Yeah, Mahomes,
So
Barkley,
yeah, I
McMahon,
mean
Smith, Godwin. So I think Lockett did well
minus
last
zero
week. This
point
week he
two
did
for
nothing.
minus 0.3 for K Dotton's his big problem here. Literally
Yeah,
minus points in a flex spot is never good. So but outside of that, it's again very good scoring and nearly 200 points. It would have been enough to beat most this week. So unlucky
yeah,
Ross, there's no harm in losing that one to a massive score. He gets to complain a little bit about the score against him, whereas Pez does not.
yeah. But then Ross doesn't really complain, so that's one thing with Ross. But yeah, so obviously we've got the Rousey Cup winner, South London Rebels, going 2-0 against Poor Everett, 154. So let's see what happened here. So Tony got Stroud, Henry, Singletary, Wilson, Johnson, Williams, Ertz, Dowdall, Collins, Elliott, Okereke, and White. And then Everett had Goff, Elliott, Ford, Chase, Adams did well, Evans, Parkinson, Brian Robinson did well, Harris, Q got him 10 points. And for scoring wise, Anzalone didn't do much. So,
Yeah, I mean, this is a problem I find with when the receivers are getting that, shall we say, on in years a little bit, they do tend to they still have their big massive games, but they do have games where they just have nothing, and this is kind of where Everett's problem lies with Evans this week, certainly. And I can see Adams having some weeks like this, and it's not just because they're aging as well, it's the fact that they've not got brilliant quarterbacks thrown at them. And I think the Buccaneers will have games where they run the ball to death and Mayfield doesn't do a whole lot. I can't get on board with Mayfield being an elite quarterback. I don't think he is. I don't think he's close to being so. Uh, and Adams, obviously, is Minpew thrown at him.
There you
So,
go.
he's had a good week
I've
this
just
week.
seen
I suppose he has.
another group chat that Tua's gone on IR. No shock there, but
Well, yeah, I mean that was it was always kind of going that was going to happen, wasn't it? But I mean, Adams's points here are he's scoring a lot more in this league than he has in other leagues. So, I mean, he got over 100 yards in a touchdown, so I guess it's fine. He had. I mean, he's had a big game, but I don't see him having a big game like that week in, week out. I think there will be bad weeks for Adams.
I think
And
Carolina next
and
week.
over on
So
the other side, I mean, how worried would you be if you're Garrett Wilson owner? I mean, you've picked him up in the second round probably, and
yeah,
he's been fit, he's been fine. So is Rogers, and he ain't done much.
no. 96% snaps, 11 targets, 6 catches, 6 targets, 4 catches. Yeah.
I mean, there's easier games to come. I get that, but yeah, I mean, I would be slightly worried if I was a Garrett Wilson owner. I would be expecting him to be kind of top 20 week in, a top 15 receiver week in, week out, and it doesn't look like that's going to be the case.
No.
Exactly, it's
Yeah.
rolling back the years. It's
I was just thinking
their
about is it
offensive coordinator, who was the old, I can't remember what his name is now, the old Cardinals head coach. He absolutely loves Zach Ertz. So
yeah.
Zach Ertz is going to get a lot of action until he's physically can't do it anymore. So I love having Zach Ertz there. I wish I had him in more leagues this year. I really do. Because I do think he's going to get targeted. Obviously Daniel's been the rookie as well. He's going to look for safety nets, and Zach Ertz is going to be that safety net for him, I
Oh,
think.
never. I used to have a lot of Zach Ertz over the years because he was always good, but yeah, I haven't got much in
Yeah,
this year. But he's got Hunter
yeah, me
Henry,
too. I mean,
who rolled back the years, 109 yards
yeah,
for
he rolled him
Hunter
back. I
Henry.
mean,
Bloody hell, man.
Hunter Henry does it 2 or 3 times a year, doesn't he? Every year, Hunter Henry pops up with 2 or 3 really big games, and then the rest of it absolutely nothing. But definitely an option to be put, to go in your team if you're struggling, or maybe you've got kind of Ferguson, you've lost them. You're delighted to have a Zach Ertz or a Hunter
Oh,
Henry on
yeah.
your
I'd love
bench
to
to
have a
come in,
Zach Ertz.
and see having the two of them. You pick the one that you've got no problem leaving one of them on the bench, so you can just pick the one that's got the best matchup. I don't hate the idea of having to, and if they've both got a good matchup, play them both.
Uh-huh.
You
But
know,
no, what the hell?
obviously.
Oh, we'll go to Aaron.
So yeah, that was massive scoring. Then another 200 plus week, another win. As I say, Richardson, I'd be a wee bit worried about. He's lost Pacheco, but he's 2-0 in the top division, so I doff my cap. I do.
Oh, you
Is
got
that London
Charbonnet.
and Pitts he's got in his team? I mean, it
Yes.
was Charbonnet a great start, given the fact that Walker was out, but he really did not look very good, did he? I know he scored
It's
a
defending.
touchdown, which
He
propped
had
up his
Hutchison,
points,
though.
but
Yeah, Hutchison scored 32 points
there
for
you
his
go.
4.5
That's
sacks and 5 tackles, 5 QB hits. I think Fred Warner maybe got
yeah,
more points, but that was the only one. Herbert and the
yeah.
Bears.
I mean,
Oh, I saw the Bears. Yeah,
Hutchison was massive. I
yeah.
was up against him in
Herbert.
local shop where it's loads of defenders, and he got a lot more points than that against me. But yeah, another great win for Aaron. He's going along well. Obviously, he's got a problem there with Pacheco,
Pacheco.
but he's got options here. He's got Charbonnet. I think he had Moss there. So yeah,
It's
top
like
of the
in the
shop,
last top.
and long may it continue for him. Whereas Graham's got work to do, but on 189 points, he'll not be losing any sleep over that. That's enough to win a lot of weeks. So
Oh, look at
just
Ross.
more of the same, please, down for him, and the wins will start to come. But there's only 3 2-0 teams here, so There's
Mm.
6 that have got 1-1. Gothenburg Angels are 1-1 after
Yeah,
that
because
big
they lost
massive
the first
score.
game. How did you do? Well, who lost in the
Yeah, they
first
didn't
game?
score
I can't
so
tell.
well in the first game, did they? But I mean, it
Well,
does
they
just
scored
go,
200
it
points.
does go to show you.
They lost by
So
five
they did,
points in the
yeah.
first
So they
game.
still
So
scored
yeah,
well enough. Still
but yeah,
scored well enough.
certainly
So
made
I
up
mean,
for it
but
in that
it
one.
does, it absolutely goes to show, it does change week on week. Fantasy football is one of those games where it changes so quickly. No one who's
Yeah,
on 2 should be panicking at this point in time. People who have got injuries might want to be starting panicking. People who own like Travis Kelce and such might want to start panicking. But don't panic
yeah.
if you're on 2,
I
especially if
think
you're